We've got the explosive footage from today's cabinet meeting, and it's revealed Trump's master plan to dismantle the globalist agenda piece by piece. This is the war council they didn't want you to see. The globalists want to block this from getting out, but the truth bombs are now dropping. President Trump confirmed what the mainstream media refuses to report, that consumer prices are falling, inflation tamed, energy costs plummeting. The Secretary of Defense announced we're taking back the Panama Canal from Chinese control, undoing Obama's betrayal. Foreign countries are bending the knee with trade offers they never would have come up with before Trump's tariffs. This is what winning looks like, patriots, and you are going to have a front row seat. And while Trump's cabinet is dismantling the globalist agenda, many American men are battling an invisible enemy, destroying their vitality from within. Most guys believe their testosterone is draining due to age or genetics, but the real culprit's something shocking you're likely eating every day, something you've always been told is healthy. This one food has been scientifically proven to devastate testosterone levels, and it's not what you'd expect. It's not junk food or sugar. It's far more surprising. Just consuming it a few times weekly is enough to wreck your hormones, your energy, and motivation. And Sculpt Nation has created an eye-opening video revealing this testosterone-killing food at sculptnation.com/NNN. Discover the truth they don't want you to know. It's linked below. So we've got it here. This is the cabinet meeting. Donald Trump revealing the master plan. And it is something to behold. It happened just a few hours ago. President Trump confirming consumer prices are dropping. Very little inflation under his watch. Energy costs down. Interest rates down. The economy roaring back after Biden's disaster. The Trump economic miracle continues while the mainstream media lies all about it.
We had a very good meeting. We're talking about a lot of different things. Consumer prices have actually dropped. There's very little inflation. Everybody predicted a lot of inflation, very little inflation. Energy costs are down. Interest rates are probably down. They scatter, but they're probably down. Prescription drug prices are even to down. We're doing very well. It's been amazing. We had a big day yesterday. There'll always be transition difficulty, but we had in history, it was the biggest day in history, the markets. So we're very, very happy with the way the country's running. We're trying to get the world to treat us fairly. This is something that should have been done 25 years ago, and it wasn't. Should have been done 40 years ago, and it wasn't. But no president was willing to take it on, but you had to. It's not sustainable. It wasn't sustainable, and we had
Trump building the strongest cabinet in American history. Everyone at this table is doing an incredible job. The relationship's strong. The meetings are productive. No deep state infiltrators, just patriots working together to make America great again.
Very strong. Everyone at the table is doing an incredible job, by the way, I have to say. Incredible. And the relationships are, it's like they're friends. They're really, the relationships are very strong, really good, really strong. And these meetings are very good. And I think, I don't believe there's any other president that allowed the press to come into a meeting such as this. These are very sacred meetings. These are very private meetings. But we have nothing to hide. And I think it's good. I think it's a good, we want to be, a word you like to use, Jeff, is transparent. So we want to be transparent. And everyone at this table is doing.
Secretary of Defense confirming we're taking back the Panama Canal from Chinese control.
Mr. President, we just got back from Panama last night. We were at the Panama Canal with our Southcom commander ships, F-18s, troops, and signed a couple of historic deals. One which is with the Panama Canal Authority, a framework for U.S. vessels, first and free through the Panama Canal. And then also a memorandum of understanding with their security minister for the presence of U.S. troops. Fort Sherman is an old U.S. base there, as well as their naval station and air station, jointly with Panama to secure the Panama Canal from Chinese influence. That's something you said, we're taking back the canal. China's had too much influence. Obama and others let them creep in. We, along with Panama, are pushing them out, sir. So we had a very successful trip there. President Molino sends his regards, very complimentary of the U.S. as he's a great ally, and I think they want the communist Chinese out, and with our troops there partnering with their forces, we've got a chance to push them all the way out, sir.
Push them all the way out. Foreign countries now bending the knee, trade offers they never, ever would have come with before. Secretary Lutnick confirming.
I think so. We've have so many countries to talk to. It is it's incredible. I think Scott and I, I'm not sure we could ever have enough time in the day to talk to all these countries because they want to talk and they want to talk now. And they have come with offers that they never, ever, ever would have come with, but for the moves that the president has made, demanding that people treat the United States with respect. We're getting the respect we deserve now, and I think you're going to see historic deals one after the other. And then I'm very excited that within a week and a half, we're going to start with the gold card and the Trump card. It's coming out, and we're very excited about that, and that's coming soon. So very excited.
Thank you very much. Good job.
So we've...
Let's keep going. The OMB director announcing House-approved Trump's budget resolution, massive progress this week.
Senate bill. Very thankful for the House voting for the president's budget resolution along with the Senate bill. Made a ton of progress this week in working with members to ensure that a desire for flexibility in the Senate was not misconstrued as a desire not to slow and do spending reforms. And so we're very thankful for that. And now we can get after writing that bill, getting the president as big a package of his agenda to his desk. So very good week.
Good. Israel, we just got the House vote, and now we're well on our way to getting, as we call it, the great big beautiful bill. It's a beauty. There's never been a bill like this one. We're trying to get it all into one beautiful bill. It's tax cuts, regulation cuts, and many other things.
One big, beautiful bill. Here's the Education Secretary tackling anti-Semitism on college campuses.
I've been addressing, well, on a couple of fronts. We have been addressing the issue of anti-Semitism on campuses. There's been some grant funding and contract funding that we've reviewed, and some canceled, and some we've put on hold, waiting for that, while we do an investigation. On the other side of what my responsibilities are, and having education go back to the states, we're meeting and talking with governors. I was with, this week, all 50 commissioners of education around the country, and because we also want to provide them with tools and best practices as education does move back to the states. Making great progress, great response from the states, and very positive.
And what about colleges? You're holding back $400 million from Columbia, $8 billion from Harvard. Can you imagine the money we pay Harvard? They have a $60 billion fund, and we're giving them $8 billion, and we're trying to figure that out. And then they hire de Blasio, the worst mayor in the history of New York, and they hire the woman from Chicago who was a disaster, total disaster, and they pay them massive salaries, and they're supposed to be teaching you government. That's not Harvard. That's not Harvard the way it used to be. So, do you have anything to say about that? The dollars you're holding back from quite a few universities that were not behaving.
Yeah, and the other, there's some Princeton, Cornell, others that are coming in, and actually getting calls now from the presidents of the universities who really do want to come in and sit down and have discussions. And so we're investigating them, but in the meantime, we're holding back the grant and the fund money.
And even during serious business, Trump's cabinet celebrates Secretary Rollins' birthday.
First off, Mr. President, it's Brooke's birthday today, so he's getting younger, so happy birthday to Brooke.
Thank you.
First off, Mr. President,
And the Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, praising the cabinet's unprecedented collaboration.
Susie, thank you very much for the job you've done. Go ahead, please.
I just wanted to make sure you know that this cabinet, I think, pretty uniquely collaborates and cooperates and works together to accomplish all that you've asked them to do, and I think they deserve a lot of credit for that.
Sure. You're doing a great job. The Chief of Staff, doing a great job.
Chief of Staff, shocking truth bomb. Mike Waltz reveals China received 1,700 orders for new ships. American shipyards received only 5.
Mr. President, last year, the Chinese received 1,700 orders for new ships. American shipyards received 5. Under your leadership, like so many other industries, we are going to revitalize and make shipbuilding and maritime great again with these blue-collar jobs. These are the cranes, the ports, opportunity zones and drive that investment back in. And we have under that executive order and also one to streamline foreign military sales for people that want to buy our equipment, and of course acquisition reform, all just this week under your leadership, Mr. President.
So we're going to be rebuilding our shipbuilding business. We may would have to go to Congress for this, but we may buy some ships from other countries that we're close to and that do great jobs with ships, but we're going to start the process of rebuilding. We don't really essentially build ships anymore, which is ridiculous. It's going to be a very big business for us in the not too distant future, but in the meantime, we have countries that do very well at building ships, and we'll be dealing with those countries, and we may be ordering top-of-the-line ships from those countries, and within a fairly short period of time, we'll be building our own ships. So we'll probably have to go to Congress for that. But
why the hell would we be buying ships from other countries? That just shows you the disaster that Donald Trump is walking into. The EPA chief exposing the truth. The Biden EPA was strangulating the economy.
$2 billion. The Biden EPA was strangulating the economy. The Trump EPA understands it's not a binary choice. We can protect the environment and grow the economy. Working with DOGE and Elon Musk, we've now canceled $22 billion worth of grants. And we have launched what is the largest deregulatory action in the history of the country. Just in one agency. That's how much of a mess the Biden EPA left us. It is going to end up reducing the cost of living. It's going to create jobs. It's going to make it easier to purchase a car. It will be easier to heat your home. We're proud of this effort. The effort that we have is fulfilling the mandate that you earned from the American public. Clean air, land, and water for all Americans, unleashing energy dominance, permitting reform, advancing cooperative federalism, making America the AI capital of the world, and bringing back American auto jobs. When you called me that day asking for me to take this position, I was honored. And you were very specific and clear in what you wanted us to accomplish. We understand our mission, and at the Trump EPA, we're going to make it proud.
great job. You're doing
the Biden.
Secretary Duffy praising President Trump's executive order to revitalize American shipbuilding.
We also need. I want to thank you as well for the shipbuilding EO. Again, to build ships, we also need mariners to sail those ships. I was just up at Kings Point for the Merchant Marine Academy a couple days ago, and we have some of the greatest young men and women who are learning how to be mechanical engineers, to rebuild and fix the engines on those ships, but also how to sail ships. I would tell you that over the past decades, this academy has become, it needs some love. It's been a little bit dilapidated. We have to invest in sailors, and I appreciate you taking the initiative. To be a global power, we have to build ships and have sailors to sail those ships. These are the very people that help Pete should we come into points of crisis to support the military. So thank you for that. Number two, the last administration announced 3,200 projects, big, beautiful roads and bridges. Most of them are good. But they announced them, they didn't sign a grant agreement. 3,200, so the money doesn't go out the door to build the infrastructure in the country. And it's fun to do an announcement. It's actually the harder work to put together these grant agreements. So we're doing the work right now at DOT to get these grant agreements done and build the projects. Most of them are good. And they also put in all of this green and social justice requirements on roads and bridges. We're pulling all that out and putting the money toward the infrastructure, not the social movement from the last administration.
good steel, right, as opposed to green paper mache.
Remember when Pete Buttigieg said that roads were racist? Here's Secretary Rollins confirming Trump's vision will move us into an age of prosperity for farmers and ranchers, unlike any they have seen before.
Family. Sir, first, we are, I would say, more than friends. We've all become family, and I think that what you have assembled in your vision is a turning point and an inflection point in American history, and so just being a part of that is the greatest honor. So thank you for that, and again, just the relationships here and the honor and respect we have for each other is a reflection of you and your leadership. So I just wanted to say that first. The second thing I want to say is that on behalf of the farmers and ranchers, food security is national national security. We have to be able to feed ourselves. And your idea of using tariffs along with deregulation and tax cuts, but your idea of using tariffs to ensure that we are putting forward and putting America first, no one understands that better than our farmers and our ranchers. But having said that, emerging from 4 years of Biden with a 30% increase in inputs for our farmers and ranchers, with an almost $50 billion trade deficit. When we left the first time, it was zero, meaning that they are hurting. So the period of uncertainty we're in, they know that your vision will move us into an age of prosperity for all Americans, but for my people, for the farmers and ranchers, unlike any they have seen before. And I think they are really, really excited and so grateful for your leadership. But also, you have never failed to say that you have the backs of our farmers and our ranchers. It was the first phone call that I had after I was voted with the Senate, and that message just resonates with almost an 85% support of you in the last election. They're with you. Interestingly, the biggest budget driver at the United States Department of Agriculture is not farming and ranching or agriculture, it's food stamps. And so as we emerge and embark, Secretary Kennedy and I, on your vision of making America healthy again, a massive part of that is realigning and reworking our food stamp program so that it better serves those who need it. And to the point of getting the transgender, DEI, Green New Deal out of the USDA and realigning is really important. So
it's out of the military, right? Sir. Is it 100% out, would you say?
99.9, sir. I'm going to get that last point.
Get the rest of it. We've got a much different military, I will tell you. Thanks very much. Good job.
And the Treasury Secretary delivering an amazing piece of news on trade negotiations.
5 countries. I'd echo what Howard said on the trade queue, that we've got over 75 countries that want to come in. So it'll be Treasury, Commerce, Jameson at USTR, and we're putting a process in place. And as you said, you're going to be part of the negotiations too, because I've had these countries call me up and with Secretary Bessent, we're happy you're going to be negotiating. I said, well, President Trump's going to be involved too. So bring your best deal on the budget. It's moving quickly in the House and the Senate thanks to your leadership. We're also going to have debt ceiling in there, so we're going to get an increase in the debt ceiling. And that will be the done and dusted for
part of the bill that we just got to vote on today.
Part of the bill. It'll be done and dusted for 2 years. We won't have to worry about that. And then I gave a speech yesterday to 1,400 small and community bankers, and they were so happy to hear from your administration. And I told them Wall Street's done great for the past 4 years, 10 years, 20 years. It can continue doing great, but it's Main Street's turn now, and it's those.
It is Main Street's turn. Now here's Pam Bondi talking about her directive to keep America safe.
That, you were overwhelmingly elected by the biggest majority. The U.S. Americans want you to be president because of your agenda. And the courts are ruling that you have the authority to determine how the money of this country will be spent. That's what the American citizens wanted, and that's what they're getting. An example of that Friday was the Department of Education, that you can determine how the money will be spent. No more DEI. And that impacts every agency across the board. On the civil side, again, NLRB. We had a big win in the Supreme Court there. OPM, a big win there. But also 16,000 workers there. But also on the criminal side, the Alien Enemies Act. We are winning there. And, your directive to me was to keep America safe. And that's what we're doing. Whether it's the alien enemies, all of these gangs, and they are enemies of our country. They are terrorists. They are organized crime. They have come here. They are extremely organized. They are spread throughout our country, and they are creating terror. And no more under your directive. And that has stopped. Yesterday in South Florida, we charged 11 defendants with $500 million of pure cocaine coming into our country to kill our kids. They were caught. They will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. These gang members are going back to where they came, or they're going to an El Salvador prison at your directive. And, you also gave us a directive to prosecute the people who are going after Tesla to the fullest extent of the law, some of the greatest police work I've seen. We've made 4 arrests. There will be no negotiations at your directive. They're all looking at 20 years in prison, and within the next 24 hours, you're going to be seeing another huge arrest on a Tesla dealership, President, and that person will be looking at least 20 years in prison with no negotiations.
Wow. And we got some good news on the labor front from the Labor Secretary.
Accountability matters. That's what we're recognizing. With our partners at the Department of Labor for Government Efficiency, just a few weeks ago, we realized there's about $4.4 billion in COVID funds that were not used, that the state coffers were just holding on to. Out of that, we've returned $1.4 billion back to the state treasury, so essentially to the American people, and we'll go back and claw the rest of those billions of dollars back. And on the heels of that, late last night, we're understanding unemployment insurance fraud. That trust needs to be whole for the American people. When we need it for who deserves it. That's not what we're seeing. And the numbers that we saw last night, again, exposed by our partners at DOGE, at the Department of Labor. Since 2020, over $400 million of payments have gone out already. And when you hear these numbers, apparently in the United States, we have over almost 25,000 people who are over 115 years old who are collecting $59 million that we have sent out to people. Talk about fraudulent behavior. Mr. President, 28,000 people between 1 and 5 years old have collected fraudulent payments at the tune of $254 million has gone out. And lastly, 10,000 people who have not been born yet, 15 years into the future, $69 million, and they haven't even been born yet. In one case, they will be born 129 years from now. The United States government sent them $41,000, and they're not born yet. So, under the Department of Labor, those are the things that we're uncovering. I couldn't be more honored to tell the American people that we're bringing back their dollars, and we're saving them and returning them to the United States Treasury.
My goodness. Here we have Secretary Kristi Noem talking about the border crisis.
You have broken the record in the history of the nation for the lowest number of encounters at the border, which is absolutely remarkable. You have said that America's laws matter and that they'll be enforced, and we're hard at work now to get people to go back home that are here illegally. So the Alien Registration Act has been in place long enough now that those individuals that are here illegally, if they haven't registered, then they can be charged criminally, and they can face fines up to $1,000 a day and face deportation if they don't go home, and they'll never get the chance to come back to America. So,
and on the historic trade reset, Ambassador Greer talking about what happened last week. President Trump started a reordering of international trade.
Decades ago, and you know that. You've known that for a long time. That's why you have us all working on this. You came into an emergency situation where President Biden left us with a $1.2 trillion trade deficit. It's the largest of any country in human history. The largest. So you declared an emergency. You took action.
You say the largest in history, right?
In history.
There's never been anything like what he left us. He left us a mess. His whole administration was a mess. So go ahead.
So you declared an emergency, you imposed a trade action, so now you have a tariff on the world, it promotes U.S. manufacturing, it protects U.S. workers, and you've also given room for negotiation during this time so we can open export markets for our farmers and other producers and American workers. And this is why the unions vote for you, this is why the workers vote for you, this is why the families want you to be the president, because you're standing up for American workers and American communities. We've had countries come in over the past couple of weeks that represent more than half of global domestic GDP. More than.
Wow. Elon Musk was there. Did you know that? Talking about the massive savings that they're anticipating from DOGE.
By 26. Thanks to your fantastic leadership, this amazing cabinet, and the very talented DOGE team, I'm excited to announce that we anticipate savings in FY26 from reduction of waste and fraud by $150 billion. And I mean, and some of it is just absurd. Like people getting unemployment insurance who haven't been born yet. I mean, I think anyone can appreciate whether. I mean, come on, that's just crazy. You know, some of these things, people ask me like, well, how are you going to find waste and fraud in the government? I'm like, well, actually just go in any direction. That's how you find it. It's very common. It's, as the military would say, target-rich environment. So I think we're doing a lot of good and excellent collaboration with the Cabinet to achieve these savings. And it will actually result in better services for the American people, and that we're going to be spending their tax dollars in a way that is sensible and fair and good.
And your people are fantastic. In fact, hopefully they'll stay around for the long haul. We'd like to keep as many as we can. They're great, smart, sharp, right? Finding things that nobody would have thought of.
And on the transparency, here is DNI Tulsi Gabbard confirming the documents on RFK and MLK ready to be released in the next few days.
Paper. And lastly, we've been scanning. I've had over 100 people working around the clock to scan the paper around RFK, Senator Robert F. Kennedy's assassination, as well as Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination. These have been sitting in boxes in storage for decades. They have never been scanned or seen before. We'll have those ready to release here within the next few days.
The SBA Administrator, Kelly Loeffler, thanking Trump on behalf of American manufacturers.
For standing up to the Chinese Communist Party and fighting for our main streets, for our workers, and for those that make things in America. I'm out on a Made in America manufacturing tour, and as I go across the country, people are grateful to have a president who's not just fighting on the tariffs fronts, but to get inflation down, to create jobs. After Biden destroyed 110,000 manufacturing jobs in just his last year, we've already brought back thousands and thousands of manufacturing jobs.
And it keeps going. Here's more on DNI Gabbard, Tulsi Gabbard, bringing back transparency and accountability.
And accountability to the intelligence community, first and foremost, to make sure that you and your cabinet have that real-time, relevant, apolitical, objective intelligence to best inform, whether it's negotiations for peace, negotiations around tariffs, the great work that you are leading around the cabinet today. Secondly, working with Department of Homeland Security and the FBI to increase our information sharing to achieve your goal of countering the narcotic trafficking and our ability to go after cartels now designated as foreign terrorists. I met with the National Sheriff's Association this week, being able to work to make sure that the information that they are getting on the ground, that local law enforcement is getting on the ground, is being fed back up through to our National Counterterrorism Center, and that we have all of the federal agencies, state and local law enforcement all on the same page as we are working to make our country safe again.
And medical freedom's on the table. Here's RFK Jr. working to make America healthy again.
To make America healthy again, I'm working with Lee Zeldin to reassess the fluoride rules based upon the August release by the National Toxicity Program of new science that shows a direct inverse correlation between exposure to fluoride and IQ loss, particularly in children. Lee and I were in Utah this week, to announce that Utah became the first state in the country to ban supplemental fluoride. I'm working with Brooke and governors now in 24 states who are advancing MAHA legislation to get soda pops off of the food stamp program, off the SNAP program. We've launched Operation Stork Speed to get the bad chemicals out of baby formula. We're working with governors across the country to get good food into the school lunch programs and to get rid of food chemical dyes and other bad chemicals that are in our food. We've shown now that this directly affects academic performance, violence in the schools, and mental health, as well as physical health.
On energy independence, here's Secretary Burgum.
One of your primary administration goals is to make sure that we unleash American energy. And of course, the strategy behind that is when we do that, it helps make it more affordable for all Americans. Energy isn't just industry. It is the foundation of every other industry, whether it's food, manufacturing, clothing, transportation. And then also when we've got the ability to generate and not just be energy independent, but energy dominant, then we have the opportunity to sell energy to our friends and allies versus them buy it from our adversaries.
And Secretary Rubio telling the truth about the last 31 years.
I believe that you'll achieve in your presidency is reordering the world in a proper way. For 31 years, more than 31 years now, multiple administrations have allowed the Chinese to deindustrialize this country, to take away jobs and factories and pillars of our national strength. And what you're doing now, I think, is a great service to our country, but ultimately to the world. And I want to congratulate you and your team that's working on that, because it has extraordinary geopolitical implications, as you see, from all these other countries that are now coming here and wanting to join something that actually makes it's crazy to allow these. I mean, basically, we lived in a world where Chinese companies can do whatever they want in America. But our companies cannot do anything over there unless they allow it, and even then they steal our stuff and reverse engineer it. So just reordering all of that has dramatic implications on the peace and security of the world. So
China retaliating by reducing American films allowed there. And Trump's response, I've heard worse.
Reaction to them. China retaliated today by reducing the number of American films that can be shown there. What's your reaction to them now targeting cultural exports from the United States?
I think I've heard of worse things.
Oh, poor Hollywood. And here's the Treasury Secretary. Market strong.
Paying down.
What are you planning on using the money that you're gaining from revenue through the tariffs on?
Paying down national debt, reducing taxes, creating good budgets, helping Christie with the border and all of the other things. I built hundreds of miles of wall, as people now understand.
Sorry, I'm obviously President Trump, not the Treasury Secretary.
And 571 miles of border wall in the first administration. But we're going to beef it up, and we're going to add more. And, you know, the numbers are incredible, really. The numbers of what's taken place. We had great...
Trump negotiating better deals for America. We're very close to the first country making a tariff deal.
Well, I think it's...
So how close are you to the first country coming to actually make a deal with the United States over tariffs? Is it days, months?
Well, I think it's very close, but, you know, we have to have a deal that we like. We don't want a deal that's going to be a bad deal, or I could make every deal in one day if I wanted to. I could do this all in one day. I could just say, here's what we'll do. And I was saying to the people before, to Scott, mostly to Scott and Howard, and some of the other people that work with us on the negotiations. You know, we have a lot of law firms that have paid me a lot of money in the form of legal fees. We're going to probably use those firms to, if we can, I think we can. I'll make a contribution to the country. But they're great firms. They're the best firms, the biggest, and really the most prestigious. And we may be using them to help you guys out, because you're going to need a lot of lawyers. And I'm not sure Pam's going to be happy if I say, can you send over about 200 lawyers that work on trade? She's working on criminal stuff, and I think that's going to be her focus more than anything else. So we'll find out if we can do that. But we have a lot of lawyers that you've been reading about where they paid $100 million a firm on average. Now we have the final 4 or 5 are at $125 million. So I have a lot of legal fees I could give to you people, and we might as well use them. Hopefully I won't need that many legal fees or that much. I may. Who knows? After it ends, after we leave, maybe I'll need it. But if I do, it's not going to be very pleasant. So I think we're going to try to use these very prestigious firms to help us out with the trade, because, you know, we have a lot of countries. But we want to make deals that are proper for the United States. Not just we can make deals easily. We want to make them proper.
So these patriots are fighting for you while the fake news lies. The America First Revolution is unstoppable. Follow next news for the truth they don't want you to hear. So the cabinet meeting exposed the full scope of Trump's America First Revolution, from Treasury Secretary Bessent announcing Main Street's turn now. After decades of Wall Street dominance, the AG Bondi sending gang members back to where they came from or to an El Salvador prison. Tulsi Gabbard, DNI, revealing declassification of the documents on RFK and MLK assassinations. Elon Musk uncovering $150 billion in government waste, including unemployment benefits for people who haven't even been born yet. Secretary Rubio telling the brutal truth. For 31 years, multiple administrations allowed China to deindustrialize the country. The media won't show you this cabinet in action because they're terrified of what's happening, a complete reordering of American power. So the question now is, how deep does the swamp go? How many more bombshells will drop as Trump teams continue their systematic dismantling of the globalist machine? Drop a comment below and support the real news with your shopping at the Next News merch shop, link below.